Yeah, so going into the game, obviously last week on the pod, I was the sole person that expected this game to be a lot closer than, you know, you two and pretty much the entire country, the betting world, everybody thought it was going to be. And to be honest with you, it was even. I had my doubts on my pick on this, but the game didn't disappoint. Came right down to the last minute of the game. Obviously, an emotional day for Patriots fans with Tom Brady coming back. I might be in the minority here, but I was very, very pleased with the reception that Tom Brady got in Gillette Stadium. They gave him his due when he came out. Loud cheering, all this and that. They gave the tribute video, and then when he took the field as a Buck on his first drive, he got booed. The one and only time in the game, he got booed, and I thought that was the perfect welcome home for Brady in terms of treating him as an opponent while also appreciating what the last 20 years were. Getting into the game, the Patriots had a game plan dialed up, ready to go. Obviously, I think the weather played a big part in this game. It was pouring rain for a good portion of the game, probably say three-quarters of it. Let's just say that the Patriots defense did what they needed to do to limit the passing game of the Tampa Bay Bucks. Obviously, we know the Bucks have trouble running the ball, and it seemed that the Patriots were willing to give them that. Obviously, the Bucks had a little bit of success running the ball in this game, but at the end of the day, I was pleasantly surprised with the Patriots' performance in this game. Mac Jones, 19 straight completions at one point in this one. I thought he was the best quarterback on the field on Sunday night. Brady was missing some throws big time. You can attribute it to the weather, him being emotionally jacked up, or just having an off night. But my biggest gripe in this game was the decision at the end. The Patriots challenging 19-17, driving the ball, 4th and 3. The play before the fourth down was they had a pass, but I think Mac Jones was targeting. I think it was Jacoby Myers. Guy was wide open, and I think it was Levante David that made just a brilliant play to knock that ball down at the line. Great read. Guy was wide open. Just a great defensive play, and I was very upset with Bill Belichick and the coaching staff to not give the kid his chance to win a game on the highest on the highest stage that this team's going to see this year against the former quarterback. And I was very disappointed in that, despite the fact that Nick Folk was about 6 inches away from hitting his career long in the rain. But at the end of the day, given the fact that they didn't let him kick the ball, heck, I think over 50 yards at all since he's been with the Patriots, it really, really bothered me that they did that. But overall, satisfied with the Patriots' performance. A lot of guys, took a step forward. Obviously, this team still has major problems with the offensive line, with Isaiah Wynn getting absolutely destroyed and Michael Onwenu getting benched. So there's still some major problems there. And secondly, the backfield, J.J. Taylor with a costly fumble. So still some major issues with this team. But overall, I think they did take a step forward. And you call it a moral victory, call it whatever you want. But I feel better about the Patriots team and the way that they played after that loss than I did going into the game.
Yeah. Do you mind me asking you, if you had to venture a guess, why do you think Belichick decided to go for the field goal there over trusting Mac to try to get those 3 or 4 yards?
I'm guessing you listened to Greg Bedard earlier today because they asked him the same thing.
No, because I do want to know, what's the thought process there? I mean, at the end of it, we've all seen the stats. It seems that, essentially putting the ball in Mac's hand to try to get the first down, statistically, it made more sense than trying to kick a field goal, with Nick Folk, who hasn't made a 56-yarder since 11 years ago when he was in Denver. I mean, and the ball travels so much better in Denver. So, what do you think the thought process was for Belichick behind that move?
Nah, I think he did. I think he had some wavering confidence in both of his units. Going into that decision, the offense. I think like you and I talked about before we got on here. They were helped out with you call it a gift pass interference to get down there. They had shown a little bit of faltering, down the stretch at the end of the game. You could call it the safe play for image sake. I know that was mentioned on the radio earlier today. Excuse me. I just maybe in his eyes he trusted his kicker. His kicker had made, I think, what was it, 36 straight field goals. Now granted, none of them were as long as they were, and he was about, again, 6 inches away from being right. But that being said, from my eyes, if you leave Tom Brady 40 seconds or 55 seconds at that point with 2 timeouts, to need a field goal to win, that's a low percentage play in my eyes. I would have liked to have seen him give the kid a chance to basically they get the first down there, they can more or less run the clock out at that point and kick a winning field goal later from a closer distance, a more higher percentage play at that point. But they made the decision. He was 6 inches from making the right decision, at least at the time. He makes it. We don't know what Brady would have done. I think maybe he trusted his defense a little bit more than his offense at that point. Maybe that's why he did it. But at the end of the day, I don't agree with the decision.
Yeah. Same here. I absolutely hated the decision. And, at the end of the day, whenever the Patriots lose, we come on this podcast and we do the whole, blame pie thing. And obviously, for me, I always blame the players on the field, because if I'm going to give them the praise for executing on the field, I'm also going to fault them for not, converting plays when the team needs them the most. And Nick Folk is going to take the lion's share of this blame, right? At the end of the day, if the coaching staff has enough confidence in you to go out there and kick a field goal, then you've got to go out there and perform. Now, the decision itself is something we can debate, and a close second for me in the blame pie is the coaching staff. And once again, this is God knows how many weeks now that we come in and essentially bear the coaching staff for just not making the right decisions in the game when they should have went for the fourth down. Having too many men on the field, dumb penalties, turnovers. All those things are just compiling. And for me, it's just hard to believe that a Bill Belichick-led coaching staff is coaching this team in such a negative light. Some of the other things that are still creeping up, the offensive line is still shit. The running attack had -1 yards. I just don't see this team getting any better. A lot of these, sure, you can point to Mac Jones being good and Matt Judon being good and, Jalen Mills having a good game for once. But overall, I think the team in itself isn't getting any better. And it doesn't help that your starting quarterback, a rookie who's doing well, is playing well, and you're still somehow losing these games. So for me, I don't understand how it's this bad. And going to this Texans game, we would think it'd be an easy win, but we can't say that anymore, right? At the end of the day, we all expect the Patriots to win. But, can we be confident in saying that? So, at the end of the day, I do have them beating the Texans, but I'm not very confident in that.
All right, I mean, let's be honest, though. I mean, we're now 2 weeks in a row where either Chase Winovich doesn't know when he's supposed to go on the field, or the coaching staff just doesn't know what the hell they're doing. And they burned a crucial timeout when everyone thought it was to give a player extra time to, come off the field and, air quotes, sit out a play, but not really, because they called a timeout, when in reality, either it was, Gerard Mayo or, Mullet Man, Joe Dirt himself, Steve Belichick, just not knowing when to put Winovich in. And Winovich looks like me in math class when I get called for homework. So, this is a recurring problem. I don't know where the blame is, but, a lot of that has to go on the coaching staff. I mean, you need to know what these rotations are. And, I mean, look at Chase Winovich. I mean, Jay, we were talking about this in the offseason, and Burge, you too. Winovich was a roster bubble guy for a lot of training camps. So, if this is on him, it's not really helping his cause to stay on the roster. I don't know if he'd be bumped down to practice squad. I don't think they would outright release him. But, he's really not helping himself or endearing himself in the eyes of the coaching staff right now, especially at a crucial point in the game. And real quick on the Texans, I mean, there really isn't a whole lot to talk about here. New England's 9.5-point favorites on the road in Houston. If this was a Tyrod Taylor or Tyrod Taylor, depending on how you say his name, Taylor-led offense for the Texans, I wouldn't be surprised if Houston found a way to win this game. They really went down to the wire with the Cleveland Browns until he came up lame with the hamstring, but he's out. It's going to be the Davis Mills show again. The Texans have the worst point differential in the NFL right now. I think New England wins. I would hope they would cover the 9.5 with the rookie quarterback under center. But again, we still have the issues with rotations and whatnot. I'm going to stay away from betting the spread in this game, but I have the Pats winning outright.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I would stay away from it betting this game too. I would stay if as a fan, I would stay away from betting the Patriots altogether because there's just weeks that I just don't know what to expect at this point. I do have the Patriots winning this game outright with the against the Texans, but I do have the Texans covering the 9.5. I think what we've seen from the Patriots this year, I mean, there's a chance this could be a Jets style game where they win by 16 points or something, but at the end of the day, I don't have any confidence that they're going to outright, and essentially, I consider a 10-point win a pretty pretty one-sided game where they, not run away with it, but they win it handedly. And I don't see that happening. I have the Texans covering the 9.5 points, but the Patriots ultimately win the game by 3 to 7 points, either by a touchdown or a field goal. Parker's pick for this game also, he picks the Texans to cover.
What? Okay.
Yep. He picks the Texans to cover here. Obviously, I'm not going to differentiate his picks because I haven't in the past, but I like to think that I've trained my boy well enough to think the Patriots are going to win the game. Even though he's going to be a good gambler, he's going to pick the Texans to cover.
Yeah.
Sharp Parker.
Exactly right. And I got the Texans winning as well I got the Patriots winning as well because this is it. I mean, if you don't win this game, you might as well pack up the season and call it a season. But quick question for you, Brody, before we move on. Is this the week that Ramondre Stevenson comes out of the Bill Belichick doghouse?
Don't think they have a choice.
Yeah, because you would think it would be this game, right? I mean, because he's been sitting in the doghouse for 2 or 3 weeks now, and Josh McDaniels actually had a great bounce back game in regards to his play calling. I think with Josh McDaniels, getting a little bit of his mojo back, and Ramondre Stevenson hopefully coming out of the doghouse, I think we might see a little bit more cohesive unit on offense out there.
I mean, let's be honest. If I told you early in the in the preseason, Jay, that Brandon Bolden was going to be the most shorthanded back in the backfield for the New England Patriots, I think you would have probably laughed me off this podcast. Yep. So, I mean, right now, Brandon Bolden is the most shorthanded guy they have, and he's not gonna make a big play. He's not gonna make a guy miss. So I think that at this point, I would rather see Ramondre Stevenson on the field than J.J. Taylor, despite the fact that I was high on J.J. Taylor going into the season. I really want to see what Ramondre Stevenson does again here, and J.J. Taylor's fumble was far more costly than Stevenson's was in week 1. So let Stevenson go. Let's see what he's got. Let's see if he's got any of those flashes from the preseason.
Yeah. Any other final points you want to get on this game?
I'm good.
Puma?
All I'm going to say is if somehow Houston finds a way to win with this, cagey Major League, movie baseball, like kind of defense. If anyone's seen the movie Major League, this defense is essentially the Cleveland Indians of that movie. If they find a way to win with the rookie quarterback against the New England Patriots, man, Boston radio is going to be something to listen to. And I think if they lose to Houston, any questions that are going to be asked about the coaching staff are going to be valid. So they need to win this game on the road.
Yeah. It's a must win. It's a must win altogether.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Must win.